The NFL is going to play a game tonight between the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. With so many injuries and so many people testing positive, how should you adjust your game plan when betting this football game? I'm Donnie Seymour, and this is your Pub Sports Radio hot topic of the day. NFL football on deck tonight between the Green Bay Packers as they travel out to play the San Francisco 49ers. So many COVID cases, so many injuries. So the question that some gamblers have in these situations is, how do you go about and approach these games? Because the lines are currently moving as we sit now across the board, -7. Even some 6.5s are actually creeping back after we saw the 7.5s open up earlier in the week. Heavy betting coming in obviously on the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because there's not much resistance, it seems like, for the San Francisco 49ers. When we take a look at the skill position players that are going to be out tonight for the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Tevin Coleman, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and also Kendrick Bourne. And also keep in mind last week, after the Seattle Seahawks game, they cut Dante Pettis, the wide receiver that they had. Didn't really have a factor in this year, but would have been nice now that you're down to your 4s and 5s, so to speak, here at the wide receiver position. So the question always comes up is, how do you approach these type games and try to, where do you find that edge at? Because if we were just taking a look at this game, if everybody was healthy, maybe the San Francisco 49ers getting only a point or two in this football game. But now, as we said, ballooned up over 7, and also a total that opened up around that 52-53 range is now sitting at that 48.5. And I do agree with the line movements because you do need football players in order to win games. And no matter how good a coordinator Kyle Shanahan is, you're still going to have some issues if you don't have any of the Jimmies and Joes to throw the football to. So how do you adjust and get after? Well, if you look at game plans last week, and the one that really sticks out, obviously, is the game plan that the Green Bay Packers just had going against them versus the Minnesota Vikings. Here's the issue tonight. You had 2 legitimate wide receivers for the Minnesota Vikings, even though they played the Green Bay Packers in a windstorm, flurries, and cold weather conditions at Lambeau Field. You also had Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook goes for 30 carries, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and also chimed in with 2 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. If you had Raheem Mostert on your offense for San Francisco, you could sort of plug that offense in and say, let's see how we can actually get after it. But now you're banged up on the offensive line. You don't have any skill positions. The home run hitters are not there for San Francisco, so you can't just line up against the Green Bay Packers and say, hey, let's run it and get big plays out of our running game and also try to use our running backs in the passing game. It's going to be a more deliberate approach because if we take a look last week at the San Francisco 49ers, Nick Mullins actually had a good game coming in relief for Jimmy Garoppolo. 18 of 25, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, and actually had a passer rating of 128. Here's the issue popping in. No Tevin Coleman going to be in this football game in the backfield, but also you had 16 total receptions between your young wide receiver Brandon Ayuk and also Kendrick Bourne. 91 yards for Ayuk, 81 yards for Kendrick Bourne, and combined for a touchdown total between those guys. That's 16 catches last week that's not going to be in your lineup. Also keep in mind George Kittle, before he left the football game after that nice 25-yard catch, he had 2 catches for 39 yards, and that is not going to be in. So if we're taking a look at the San Francisco 49ers, the explosive plays will not be there. But also looking on the opposite side of the field with the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in football. But also keep in mind, Davante Adams is going to be healthy and play, but there's not a lot around him because they also are having problems with injuries and COVID tests in the backfield. One of the key ingredients that you might want to watch later in the day is if Aaron Jones is going to be able to play in this game. That would be a big boost to Aaron Rodgers and the running game for the Green Bay Packers. So trying to line up and say, you know what, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He can put up numbers regardless. And then taking a look at Kyle Shanahan, who I think is one of the best play callers, if not the best play caller in the NFL. It's going to be a more methodical approach for the San Francisco 49ers, one of the best teams at actually game planning and also scheduling the first 15 plays of the game. Look for the 49ers to move the football early, but once you run out of those scripted plays, it gets harder to score since you don't have anybody explosive out there on your offense. So the way I would be looking at betting this game is not taking the Green Bay Packers to win by a touchdown, not looking at a high-scoring affair, which I don't think it will be. It's actually looking at a team total under for the 49ers. Keep in mind, some outlets and some books are showing 19.5 as much as 20.5. That's where you're going to want to look to go, because if you get to 20.5, theoretically the San Francisco 49ers will need to score 3 touchdowns to cover that, because if you kick a field goal, if you score 2 touchdowns, that's 14 points, kick another field goal, that's 17, another field goal on top of that, that's only 20. So if you're looking to take the under, obviously you want to take the 20.5 as opposed to 19.5 because you need an additional field goal in order to cover that. If the San Francisco 49ers are going to keep this close, it's going to be a ball control offense. How I'm approaching this game is taking the under on the San Francisco 49ers team total of 20.5. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Everything we do here at PubSportsRadio.com, check it out. I'm Donnie Seymour, and for Pub Sports Radio, this was your hot topic of the day.